Hey guys, welcome back. It is another edition of the Dr. Cloud Show. And I'm so glad you joined us wherever you are. We're getting lots of responses from you guys, literally from all around the globe. So you may be, way somewhere in the middle of the night right now when you watch this or pulled it up. And people are finding I'm a good cure for insomnia. What you need when you can't sleep is just somebody that drones on and on is really boring. I'll put you right to sleep. So try that. And for the rest of you, maybe you got some issues you're thinking about, and as we all do. And this is a good place to think about those because we have some great callers who call in and they share theirs, and we identify with them all about life, and we deal with those. And so it's a lot of fun. Let me give you a number where you can call in if you are listening to this live. It is 844-940-2774. That's 844-940-2774 to call in and get on the program live. And like is our practice around here, what I like to do in the beginning of the show is, while you're calling in and you're going to talk to Albie. Albie's actually, our call screener. He's a lot more helpful than I am. So that's probably why. I mean, I'm surprised we have any calls. Albie just doesn't solve them all right there. But anyway, as you're doing that, I get to share some things with you. And I'm always kind of like floating through situations. I do a lot of consulting, as you know, and a lot of work with people and teams and all that. And sometimes some things will come up that I I really want to share with you guys because I think they're kind of those issues that most of us, actually most of these issues, all of us have to think about. And I want to start before I get into the one today that I'm going to share with you. I want to talk about kind of a general way to let you know me a little bit. Um, a general way of understanding how I approach all of this. Um, I don't try to treat problems specifically. For example, let's take as a clinician, let's take depression or anxiety or something like that. Certainly, I want to treat the problem. That's why somebody's hurting. That's why they come in. But you always have to remember, and you want to alleviate that problem. So when I say I don't treat them, that's not what I mean. What I mean is, though, that we have fruits in our lives. They're called symptoms. And depression, anxiety, other things, uh, broken relationships, for example, inability to achieve a goal, all of those are certainly problems, and we want to solve those. And there's treatment for that, which I do. But I don't think of it as that's the big problem. That's a symptom because the big problem is who we are. We are the equipment. Think about a car. Well, if a car, you know, won't start or is overheating or can't drive down the road straight without going in the ditch, you know, we can't just knock it back on the road and think we're solving the problem. What we got to do is we got to fix the car that's producing that issue. And that's really how I look at this. I want to help if I've got somebody I'm treating for depression, certainly I want to help the depression as fast as possible. There's a lot of ways that we can intervene and do that, in a lot of ways. But I'm really interested in not just the depression, but the person whose system is producing the depression. It's sort of like if you got a fever, you could treat the fever, you can give them a Tylenol or something. But what's going on in the whole organism that is producing that fever? That's how I like to look at all of life. And so, we're the organism, we're the creature, we're the person. And so we have all these systems inside of us, just like a car does. Is it the electrical system? Is it the combustion system? Is it the intake system? What system is going wrong and how's it interacting with the other systems? So when I hear a caller or talk to a person or whatever, or run across an issue, I want to know what's wrong with the system. and how all of that is working. Now, I'm also a person of faith, and I love the way that the Bible talks about this. It says the same thing that all the psychiatric literature says. It says that there are symptoms, and it calls them fruits, but it calls the symptoms or fruits. It calls the system the tree. And so it says if the tree is okay, it's going to produce good fruit. But if the tree is sick, the fruit's going to be sick. Going to be diseased in some way, or wounded, or hurting, or not metabolizing the nutrients, or don't even have the nutrients, or got some weeds or something. So here on this program, we're about both. We're about solving problems, but we're also about growth as a person. You're the equipment. You want that car running great. So we want to focus on those issues. All right. The second way that I approach all of this is, if you think of if you work for NASA and you're designing a space shuttle, the space shuttle is going to soar and perform if it's designed in a way that works according to the laws of physics that are immutable. They don't change. You can't alter them. What you can do, you can use them and work with them and join them, and it'll take you right into the stratosphere. Or you can try to live your life or fly your plane or design your spaceship in a way that bumps up against those laws, and those laws will win every time. And so we're also looking at, how am I trying to live life? Am I trying to violate something in the created order of the laws of the way things work? If I do that, I'm bumping my head up against the wall. So that's kind of a little bit of how I look at this, and spend a lot of time, a lot of research. I read a lot of, journal articles and all that stuff all the time, because I'm always trying to learn. I want you to always be trying to learn. Hopefully that's what we can do on this show. So having said all that, that was a long rant. That should be all the ranting I do today, and start taking calls. But you know what? I'll just remind you of one little thing, and I'll talk about this more either later on another show. And that is this. I love this statement. I'm pretty sure it was by somebody that I really enjoyed studying, R.D. Laing, who's a British psychiatrist. And here's what he said. I think it was R.D. Laing that said this. He said, "Pain is unavoidable. But the only pain that is avoidable, and perhaps some of the worst and most destructive pain, is the pain that comes from trying to avoid pain." Now think about that sentence. Pain is unavoidable in life. If we're going to be alive, there's going to be some pain. But the pain that is some of the worst pain, and the pain that is avoidable, is the pain that we experience from trying to avoid pain. So I got a splinter in my foot, and it's going to be painful to get the tweezers and pull that splinter out. So if I'm trying to avoid that pain, then what happens? I'm going to create a lot of unnecessary pain that could be avoided if I weren't trying to avoid the pain that would make it better. Because I'm going to get infected. It's going to go on and on and on. And sometimes trying to avoid pain in life is the biggest prescription for more and worse pain than the actual pain of going through what we got to go through to resolve the pain. So I just want you to think about that. Another way I like to talk about it is, there's good pain and bad pain. Good pain is pain that ends pain or increases pleasure. Ends pain or increases pleasure. I love my work. To go through 7 or 8 years of training and be broke most of that time, or a lot of that time, and working 3 jobs and going through that and going to school and all that. But you know what? That's a pain that increases pleasure. And you've done the same thing. You've taken on some hard projects sometimes. You've gotten up in the middle of the night, some of you moms, to go nurse that screaming baby. Oh, is that painful? 3 in the morning. I remember when Olivia was born, and she was screaming one night, and Tori woke up, and I remember I woke up, and I kind of saw her. I'll never forget this. I saw her sit up, and and she goes, took a deep breath, and got up. Painful sacrifice, after you've been up for what, probably a couple of months already. All of us know what it means to lean into some good pain, because that either ends the pain, you're going for your root canal, you get it over with, or it increases some pleasure. We've learned something, we saved hard, and now we've got a return on an investment. That was painful to sacrifice. And I love Dave Ramsey's system of people getting out of debt, and they sacrifice. You read those stories, they sacrifice. It hurts. But then they have that pleasurable debt-free scream when they pay off all that debt, and those credit card payments aren't coming every month anymore, and they're free. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to pick some pain today. Pick some pain. I want you to pick some pain that you want to get rid of, but that's going to mean doing something painful. Maybe having a difficult conversation to resolve a conflict. Maybe calling somebody and apologizing to reconcile to something. Maybe taking a risk, painful, get an anxiety feeling when you call and sign up for that class. Whatever it is. Pick some pain that's going to end some pain or increase some pleasure. Okay? That's what I wanted to share. Our number, 844-940-2774. That's 844-940-2774. This is the Dr. Cloud Show, and I'm so glad you have joined us. And we are going to talk to Hannah, who's calling us from South Carolina. And I bet this is not the Hannah that's, close to 100 years old and about to have a baby. That's not you, right, Hannah?
No.
Wait a minute, that wasn't Hannah. What am I thinking of? That was Sarah. Hannah's sorry about that. Why did I think? Anyway, go ahead. How can I help you?
Hi. So my question basically is, well, a little background with me. I have a really close guy friend, and as we've become better friends, some feelings have started to come up, and my question is, how do you manage that?
How long? Because hold on. How long have you been friends with him?
Year and a half.
Year and a half?
Ish.
And
yes, but we grew closer this year.
Casual friends, you see him once every couple of months, or daily friend, what kind of mix is in there?
Every couple of weeks in college, kind of a friend group.
Is
where we met.
And how so you've been out of college now just a little while?
I just graduated.
Okay. Where'd you graduate from over in South Carolina?
Clemson University.
Go Tigers! My daughter's
Go Tigers.
So I'm a big fan.
Awesome.
How about that? Okay, so you've been friends. Now feelings are coming up. And the feelings are coming up, I hope, for good reasons, right? You're finding there's you like him, you're seeing some qualities you didn't know were there, you enjoy spending time with them. There's some kind of chemistry that you feel, all that.
Yes, I guess the catch is that they're not really wanted. They just kind of came up. It wasn't, that's kind of the catch there.
Wanted by whom?
Me, because I was like, oh, we're just friends. And then these feelings come up. I'm like, oh my gosh, it wasn't, we were just being friends, and then they came up.
This invader that's coming into my heart and my head, what's it doing? No, get away. Don't want those feelings. Right. Now, why don't you want them? Generally, those are pleasurable feelings, if they're reciprocated. So why don't you want them? Are you, have you been hurt before? You're afraid to take the next step, or you don't want to screw up a good friendship, or why don't you want them?
Well, I don't want to screw up the friendship, but the main reason is I'm not looking to pursue that with him because he's not following. He says he's a Christian, but he's not. We're not in the same place spiritually. I think he has some growing to do, so I just don't even want to go there.
Oh, okay. So if you're firm on that you don't want to go there, then you don't go there, and you just keep hanging out and enjoying the feelings. You can have feelings that somebody's goodness, is going to bring about in you without necessarily pursuing them or acting on them. But I got a question. Is he do you think he's sharing these same feelings?
That's why I don't know either, and that's why I also wasn't going to go there because I don't know.
Do you have any indication that he might be? Does he get kind of flirty, or he?
Not real. I don't know.
Has he stood under your window at night and tossed pebbles up there? Has he?
No.
Hadn't done that.
No.
Okay. So he's not doing anything that you would interpret as anything that's not like a friend, right?
Right, like super intentional. I'd be like,
Okay, so you would kind of almost have to say, he hasn't given any indication. So as far as I know, he's just still friends like we always were.
Yes, and I guess
okay.
My issue is I am experiencing the anxiety of, I have these feelings. Now I'm overthinking everything I say and do, and that's the stress of it all. I don't feel free to enjoy the friendship at all.
Oh, I'm loving this. This is so awesome. Do you know what you just described to me? You just described what you just described, this incredibly safe playground boot camp training experience. Now think about this. Here's what you've just said. Okay. You've just said that you got this guy that you interact with, and he kind of gets you off center a little bit, right? Oh, I like him. I want him to like me. Am I on my best? Am I smart enough today? Am I cute enough today? Am I this enough? Oh no, right? Now what that tells you is this, that there's a growth step that it's time for you to make, I think. And that is that when there's a part of you that likes somebody, right? And idealizes them in some way. He gets above the rest, right? He kind of, stands out in the crowd to you. That when you start to feel that, then you start to, because of the anxiety, start to diminish being yourself. Right?
Exactly.
Okay. Exactly. I want you to get over that. So when the right guy comes along, which generates all those feelings, and by the way, guys are kind of like buses. There's a new one every 15 minutes. So don't worry about that. He's the only one. Okay. But somebody's going to come along, right? And he's going to pique your interest. And I don't want you becoming less of yourself with him. I want you going, oh, I like this guy. I'm going after him in some way, right? You're going to be all of yourself, because then he's going to get to see all of you, and you're going to be much more attractive to him. So what you've got now is, you've already said you're not going to go further with this guy because now I want you to feel the power in this. There's something about him that doesn't measure up to you. That's not a judgment. It's just, you've got criteria in your life, and he's got checking a lot of the boxes, but you're not going to be unequally yoked in your faith. You want somebody who's growing like you. Okay. So you're not going to go there. Right. So now you're safe. This is a safe playground. Keep interacting with him. And the chief goal here is continue to just practice being yourself, and don't worry about it. And I just want you to learn to be comfortable around somebody you're attracted to is the bottom line. Okay. Now,
Hmm.
if, if, and I want you to like really do that. Like, if you're having a goofy thought that you would say to one of your best friends, I just want you to do it. I want you to climb in your own skin and just be all of yourself. And so the anxiety
Hmm.
will begin to diminish. All right. Now, here's the other thing. Don't get your heart hurt. I mean, if being around him and this, that, and the others, I've seen situations where it just gets too painful and diminishes life and
Hmm.
all that. So, don't do that. Or, and I'm gonna give you option B, and then I got to talk to some other callers. And I wish we could send a camera crew out there to follow you around and watch how you do
Yes.
this,
Oh my
because
gosh.
this would be. I might send my daughter to find you there in Clemson.
Yes.
um, Here's option C. You you could say to him, we've been friends a long time. Have you ever thought about um, dating? I mean, I'm not asking to date. I'm just curious. Has it ever popped in your head? And have a
Hmm.
conversation. And if he says no, say, oh, I kind of wonder, because we do connect a lot and we have fun, and it's just curious that I just always
Hmm.
wonder why don't we ever think about that? Maybe I'm not your type, or whatever. Just explore the conversation. Now, here's why I say that, because if he goes, well, yeah, actually, I have. I've just kind of been scared to ask you, or didn't want to screw up the friendship or whatever.
Hmm.
Then you have a conversation. And then here's why I'm saying all this. And then you could say, well, I think you'd be fun to date, but have you ever noticed how we're on kind of different spiritual paths? So I don't really know if it would
Hmm.
go. I don't think it could go anywhere. I'm not judging you, but you know, some people are really into sports and other people hate sports, and they don't do well together if it's going to be an issue. But I'm really
Right.
into my faith and growing, and it seems like you're on a different path. But I'd love to know more about how you look at your faith, and you get in those conversations. So
Hmm.
I think you've
Right.
got a world of fun playground here to hang out
Oh.
in.
Yeah.
Make sure, though, I want you go read my book, How to Get a Date Worth Keeping, and I want you making sure you're hanging out with and becoming friends and interacting with and going out with a lot of other guys, because that's going to
Hmm.
keep him from having too much power. Okay,
Hmm. Okay.
I'm so glad you called.
Thank you.
Fun thing to work on. Okay, this is the Dr. Cloud Show. Um, you know, I just I love all of our callers. We have great calls, but lately we've got so many fun dating calls, because dating, as you know, I've written a couple of books on it, because it's a real issue out there. But it can be such an incredible growth experience, and learning what lots of different kinds of people are like, and what you're like. See, Hannah's just learned something. She's learned with this guy that when she starts to like somebody, she starts to get anxious and becomes less of herself. Do you know, and you can read the book, that's one of the things I talk about in the book, that a lot of times, have you picture this, how many times have you known a group of friends, men or women, small group, and they're all, they're like a little squad, and there's one of them that just they all love, and this person's incredible, but for some reason they never get asked out, or they never, like nothing ever happens, and everybody else loves it, going, you would be a perfect catch, and all this kind of stuff. Well, that's one of the areas I researched when I wrote this book. And what you find is, when you follow them out there, which we did, they're different. When they meet somebody that they kind of might be interested in, they're different than they are when they're with their squad. They kind of shut down. There's less of their personality that comes out. Said in another way, they're not showing up with the parts of them that would attract somebody, even though they have all of those parts. And so what we got to do sometimes is learn to fill up your skin. I mean, you've got this you, but if your parts of you are getting diminished and hidden down here in this wee little corner of your brain, and you don't ever let that personality come out, why is anybody going to want to go out with you? Because not because you're not wonderful, but because they never saw that you were wonderful, because the anxiety was diminishing your relational interaction patterns. And sometimes that happens where somebody becomes too passive. So who's going to be attracted to a passive person? A control freak. A control freak's not going to be attracted to somebody that has good boundaries. They don't want to hear no. So when we start adapting who we are to who someone else is, then we cease to become ourselves. And even if it, God forbid, the relationship would work, that's not going to work because at some point, this other person's going to show up. You're going to go, hi, I was hiding. I do have an opinion. And control freak's not going to like that. Or the detached person's not going to like that, that all of a sudden, now you really do have needs. See, whenever we become someone else than who we are to make something work, it is not sustainable. We can do that for a short term, and we have to do that for short term sometimes. Okay. Sometimes extended family, companies that do this, businesses, certain customers, or whatever. As they used to say in the South where I grew up, you got to grin like a mule eating briars. We changed those like this. Well, you're you're putting on that smile, and maybe it's not your favorite place to be, but you can play a role for a purpose for a while for a good reason. But when that role becomes not a moment, I mean, if you're in a bad mood and you got to go serve customers, yeah, you got to put on the mask. You got to be happy to help people that day. But if you can't go home and be sick after the day's over, then you're not going to get well either. So people do this in careers. Their family wants them to be a certain thing. So they try to deny for so long what they really want to be doing to please Uncle Harry or mom or grandma or somebody. That's not who they are. And all I'm saying is you can't be someone else in a sustainable way long term. Now, that doesn't mean that all of ourself is something we would want to be. That's the other side of the equation. I mean, you hear, some people will, they'll get a crush on somebody. I can't deny myself. I can't deny my feelings. And they go, act out and jettison their families or whatever. So, I don't mean you got to go live and follow all of your passions and all of your dreams. Some of them are sick. But in the fundamental aspects of who you are, be who you are. It's who God made you to be. That's what you want somebody to know and to love, who you really are. Okay. This is the Dr. Cloud Show. It's 844-940-2774 to talk to us. I'm going to go to the phones here and go back to and talk to Stacy, who's calling us from Houston. And before I do, I want to remind you guys, if you like the kind of topics we talk about here, life and relationships and emotional issues and problems and victories and all that, and you want to go further, much further, much, much further and much deeper, then I want you to go to boundaries.me, boundaries.me. And that's my online subscription program where I become your coach and you become a subscriber, and I will join you in these areas and a lot of guidance there, and a lot of, we've worked hard and kind of covering a lot of topics. And also there's a community that you'll be incredibly impressed with. community of people to join. So go to boundaries.me, boundaries.me. Give up a couple of lattes a month, and that's about all it costs. So, but it's extensive education in these areas, and I highly love it, highly recommend it. Boundaries.me, go check it out. Okay, so let's go all the way over to Houston and talk to Stacy, who is on the line. Hi, Stacy.
Hi, Dr. Cloud. Can you hear me?
I can hear you well. How are you?
Okay. Good. It's so wonderful to talk to you. I'm such a fan.
Oh, well, I'm blushing over here. So I'm glad the lighting's bad. I don't have a studio. We're in lockdown, so I'm just sitting in a corner of my living room. So
well, I'm in my car, so I could have a private conversation because I have a difficult dilemma with a roommate that I need your help with.
Wait a minute. Now your roommate lives in the car with you? Is this a big car?
No, I'm in my car.
I'm kidding.
So that I could have a private talk.
You're hiding from your roommate. I'm sensing the roommate would not be a fan of what you're about to say. So I want to hear it.
Okay. I'll try to give you the.
You're from the South, kind of. Texas really in the South, but it's kind of the South. So a friend of mine's elderly mother, who was a riot. She's actually from Dallas. She used to say, if you don't have anything good to say about somebody, come sit next to me. she always wanted to hear the gossip. Okay. So anyway, tell me what's going on with your roommate.
Well, so we've lived together almost 4 years now. This summer will be 4 years. And we met both having gone through very difficult, painful betrayal, separation, divorces. So that was kind of our original bonding experience. And
trauma bonding is what they call it.
What do they call it? Oh, trauma bonding. Okay.
Kind of. Not exactly.
Okay. So anyway, I got back out there and took your advice and went on lots of dates and have had a couple relationships, and am now in a very promising relationship with a guy that just stands out above the crowd, like you say. Yeah, it's wonderful. So for once, I'm not calling about man problems.
Everybody around the country right now, Stacy, I want everybody applauding right now. I'm sure the vibes will get to you. I hope he's a good one.
I'm here to say there is hope. There is hope.
There is hope.
Because it's been a long, painful journey. But I just kept getting my heart broken and kind of getting right back out there again. And this last time, and my roommate's not in that same mentality. She dated one guy right after her divorce and hasn't really been out there since. And it just feels like she wants to be my friend when I'm single or when I'm heartbroken. Like we went on, after my last breakup, we went on a trip together. She bought me a sweet book. Like I feel the walls come down, but the minute the guy's back in the picture, the walls go up and you can feel it, like you can cut it with a knife. And I'm kind of an intuitive person, so I pick up on it more, which is why your boundaries book
How long is your lease?
Blessing. Well, it's no lease. It's a great place to live. It's a beautiful home, and I love her. She's a dear friend. And I don't know how to be compassionate and be a good friend to her and not feel guilty for having a boyfriend and not bringing strain from our friendship into this new relationship. You know what I mean?
Hang on. I do know what you mean, but now is this your house or her house? Whose house is this?
It's
you live in her house and you pay rent?
I do.
Okay. So, and it's market rent?
Not really. Like she doesn't really need a roommate other than she moved.
No, but I mean, if you had to move, you could afford it.
I could because I've done well with my finances, but it's a super great deal. So I'd probably not find anything like this. You know what I mean?
Well, that's not what you might not, but you're not counting all the expenses. How much is your rent?
It's $800. It's $800 a month.
Okay.
Guess what? It's not.
It's not. Okay. Well, I'm sorry. It's not $800 a month. That's not your rent. Your rent is $800 plus I can't talk about my boyfriend. Plus, I don't feel free to be happy about a relationship. Plus, I have to worry about, this is causing conflict. So there's a lot of expense in this thing too.
Yeah.
Now I'm saying all that. I'm
Yeah.
not telling you to move out. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
What I'm saying is, before we go into a conflict like this and solve it, you've got to know what pressures are driving you. Because if you don't
Right.
know your own needs and vulnerabilities, then you're not going to know where you really stand in working this out. Okay, that's why I'm asking. If you were penniless and this is your only place to live, and you don't, that's kind of a different deal. So here's the obvious thing. You guys are 4-year friends, right? You've been through
Mhm.
multiple traumas and dramas together, right?
Mhm.
So
Yes.
I would think that given all of that, I always like to start with the obvious and work backwards. Okay. So,
Okay.
given all of that, here's the obvious conversation that you would want to blow your horn and have her come sit in the car with you and have.
Well, we have had several conversations, just so you know. And she promised that this time it would be different, and it really
Oh,
has.
so you've told her that it seems like when I get in a relationship, things change between us.
I've told her that it hurts me that this is a part of my life that I feel like I can't talk about.
And she says,
Well, her barriers will come down and she'll feel bad, and I'm so sorry. It hurts and I don't know what to do. And so I say, I know, like, you're my friend. Like, it's always it has a good conversation, but then nothing ever changes. Like,
okay. All right.
you know what I mean?
So couple of quick possible tips here. All right.
Okay.
One of them would be to sit down and say, you know how we've talked about this issue about when I'm dating somebody and have a boyfriend and it kind of gets weird between us a little bit and I don't really feel free and I don't feel like I have access to you, whom I love, and we have great times and great talks. And it seems like kind of some barriers come up. You remember that conversation? And she goes, yeah. And you go, well, we talked about that and you said this time it would be different. I'm kind of experiencing that it's not different, and here's why. And I would name 2 or 3 very, very specific behaviors. I'd stay away from generalizations like you shut down and you're not my friend, or I give her specific behaviors, right?
Okay.
And so here's what I want, and I want you to state what you want. I want us to have a great relationship. I mean, this is where I live, right? And you're my friend, and I want to enjoy our friendship. Now, what we would do well to talk about is I'm curious to know from you, and stated in curiosity. You tell her in the beginning what you want. You want a good relationship. I'm curious to know from you, do you think it's possible that we could have that, or A, or B, do you think it's possible that if we can't share that part of my life in our lives, that we could have a great relationship, and we kind of bracket this off? And that's something I talk about to somebody else, and we have a compartmentalized relationship where we talk about, sports and God and fried chicken and stuff, Netflix and all of that.
Yeah, that's basically
and then
what I've done.
this part of my life I share with other friends. Or can I help you in some way? Maybe start to work through this and be an encouragement to work through this part of your life. Or option 4 is if we can't do an integrated relationship and we can't do a healthy compartmentalized relationship where we don't share this part. I've got friends like that. I've got friends where we talk about almost everything in life, except there's a few topics that they can't talk about without their hair catching on fire. So we don't talk
That's
about
interesting
those.
because, yeah.
And then the
Well,
fourth
that's
one
kind
is,
of what
or
I've
maybe,
done.
hang on, there's one more option.
Okay.
Maybe this has been great for a season, but our lives don't fit together anymore because it's too painful for you. And maybe it's time that I go somewhere else.
Right.
But I would want you to put this caveat in there. If she says, no, it'll be different. I can be better, this, that, and the other. I would want you to have because you said nothing happens. I would want you to be very clear about, okay, so what will we do that moment that I start to experience it? If it does happen again, what are we going to do then? Because we need to have a plan. And so I'm either going to bring it up or go into the other room, call one of my other friends, call a therapist for you, watch Harry Met Sally one more time and coach you through the hard scenes. I don't know. There's 80,000 things that we could do, but let's have a plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense. It takes a lot of courage for me to talk about things, and specifically, she kind of intimidates me, even if the boy thing wasn't on the table. So
why?
Well, because I don't have good boundaries, Dr. Cloud. That's why I'm a big fan.
Stacy.
I've gotten better. I've gotten worlds better.
Sure, Stacy. I'm sure you're way too much fun to not have any friends. I'm sure you got close girlfriends besides her, right?
Oh yeah, no, I've got lots of wonderful girlfriends. Yes.
All right, so
that's
wait
what
a
I've
minute.
been doing.
Wait a minute. I've got good boundaries. I'm not through talking. Hang on, just quiet.
Okay,
quiet.
sorry.
So you got some other girlfriends. You're intimidated by this woman, right? For some reason, her pain, or I want you to talk to your other friends, some growth partner you got. And before you have a hard conversation with her that you're scared of, I want you to call this other friend and say, all right, I'm gonna have a hard conversation now. I want to do a little role play with you, or I want to practice it with you, or get ready. Here's what I'm gonna say. And I want you to hold me accountable, because I'm gonna call you back after I talk to her. And I'm gonna have to tell you if I back down or not, or if I didn't really do it. Because I don't want you intimidated by people's responses to your needs, because that's not going to be good for you and this guy.
Right.
I want you healed from this. Be healed, girl. Come on. I want you to get over this.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Congratulations on having a great problem. What a great! Think about this.
Thank you.
Why do you have a problem? Because you went out and found a life. What a great reason to have a problem.
Yeah. It's definitely pales in comparison to the problems of the past. That's for sure.
Hey, Stacy, life is about getting better problems.
Amen.
I'm serious. You're not going to have a life without problems. Somebody's telling me the other day about their, I think it's a huge income tax problem. I go, what a great problem. What a great problem. That means you got lots of income. Okay. So anyway, Stacy, I got to run. Got to talk to some other people.
Okay.
But it has been so fun to have you. And congratulations on all you're doing. And call me back. Tell me how it goes. This is the Dr. Cloud Show. I told you guys we just have the best callers. We do. Be one of them. 844-940-2774. 844-940-2774. Let's go see. I'm getting some list of calls coming in here, and in bad light. I don't read that well. So let's go to talk to Sylvia. What? Sylvia's calling us from Spain? How much fun is this? Sylvia, welcome to the program.
Hi, Dr. Cloud. Thank you.
Are you in Mallorca?
Good, thank you. Yes, I'm in Mallorca, Spain.
Oh, what a beautiful place. What a beautiful place.
Thank you.
What
yes,
beautiful
I'm
people.
blessed on this island. Thank you,
great.
Dr. Cloud.
And you know what I
So
love
thank you
about
for
you guys?
taking the call.
You're such fun night owls. Like you don't even start to think about dinner until like 10:30 at night. Everybody goes out to the plaza and then we sit
Exactly.
around and we party till 2 in the
Yes.
morning and then you take a siesta in the
Yes.
afternoon. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay.
That's
So
right. That's us. Thank you.
how can I help you?
Okay, so thank you for taking my call. My question is, can you give me some tools or advice on how I can help my sister who is an addict? I know I should separate myself or cut myself off from her, and I have, but it's so difficult.
Why do you
wrapped
know you
up in
have to
her
separate
well-being.
yourself? Why do you know you have to separate yourself?
Because I make myself ill, codependency.
You said because you make yourself ill? Is that what happens?
Well, yeah, she's been an addict for 10 years. And like about 4 or 5 years ago, I tried to help her so much I was making myself ill. So I kind of cut away for a while.
Okay, I get it.
But now I'm back. Yeah. So I really did try. But it's deep in my heart. I have this desire. I want to help her. And I'm so wrapped up in her well-being. I just don't want to sit back and watch her die, Dr. Cloud. And I've just lost a brother, a loved one, not too long ago from the same problem, another addiction. And I just feel, I'm feeling really frustrated. And I just want to help her, and I don't know what to do.
Well, what are you trying right now that is not working, and is it hurting you?
Well, she's been to 6 different rehab centers. She's done so much.
Wow.
But everybody says the same thing. She has to help herself. Nobody can help her until she surrenders and says that she has a problem.
Yeah, she's still in denial.
That, but she's still in denial, but she's very deep in her addiction.
Okay. So Sylvia, when she has ample exposure, experience, and awareness to the help that's available to her, and it is still available to her, I'm surmising, right? She could tomorrow, find some help for this if she wanted, right?
Yes, of course.
Then, generally speaking, you're pretty right that ultimately, you can't make somebody get sober. You can do everything possible to try to get them there. And the other thing that you can always do is that you can stop however you are paying for this, enabling it. So the consequences can fall squarely on her shoulders. We generally change, and you've heard this before. We change when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of changing. And I've never seen, never is a big word. I'll say never, it's probably right. I've never seen anybody in your boat be able to take the right kind of stand that you've got to take for 2 things: for your own life and well-being. Because right now, at an experiential level, if not financial and physical and other levels, she's kind of taking you down with her, right? And so you got to have limits on that. So the consequences of her ups and downs are not taking you with her, A, but B, to take the right stance that will possibly help her. What I started to say was, I've never seen anybody in your situation that could do that without their own recovery. So I would want you to find a really good Al-Anon community, for example, really good family systems groups of addicts, codependency group or whatever. If she's been at 6 treatment centers, somebody one of those treatment centers is going to be able to direct you to that. But I really want to encourage you to get out of the vacuum and get into a supportive network that is going to hold your hand and help you do this, but also you're going to be, and this is the big kicker, you're going to be with other people who have had to and are making those same tough decisions. And that's going to strengthen you and it's going to guide you. So I want to see you take the next step of getting deeper into a supportive community that's going to help you to take this step. And my heart goes out to you. You know, I've been in that scenario with friends and, you know, extended family and a bunch of stuff. And I walk through this all the time with people. And it is hard to see somebody you love not come to the light, not have that wake up call.
Yeah, that's exactly
don't do
what
this
it
alone.
is. And I feel like I'm just feel like I'm just sitting back and letting her die, and I'm like helpless. I can't help her. I really can't. It's so frustrating for me.
You can help her by becoming a bridge to help, which you've already done. And it's always offered to her. And you can say, I will help you anytime you want. When you're ready to get sober, you call me, right? But you can also help her and help you by this not having this destructive force in your life, because then you're going to make the best decisions as well for her. And I wish I could tell you that, I wish I could tell you they all turn out well. They don't. But we do know that they don't turn out well, generally speaking, unless we do the hard things that you're talking about and have done. So it's kind of like we don't have a guarantee, but we almost have a guarantee that if we don't do it that way, it's not going to work. Because consequences in God have got to wake her up. Okay, I hope that's helpful to you, but go today to a good Al-Anon group or something like that. And
thank you so much, Dr. Cloud. That's been really
Thank you for your call. Thank you for being my first caller from Spain and especially Mallorca. What a beautiful place. Hope to talk to you again. Okay, this is the Dr. Cloud Show. We are almost up against the hour. I'm going to talk to Carrie, who's calling us from Colorado Springs. And looks like we got another dating question coming on here. You know, for those of you who, you know, we're just talking about this whole extended family from Sylvia and her alcoholic sister. If you go to boundaries.me, there are very, very specific courses on there on how you deal with and all the steps, which we didn't get to go into obviously on this call, but all the steps that you take and the stance that you take with an extended family member that's not taking responsibility for their life. And it may be alcohol or drugs, but it may be finances. It may be a bunch of other stuff, maybe bad behavior at Thanksgiving gatherings. But go to boundaries.me, and there, if you become a subscriber, you'll get some help with some of these paths that are, I think, very, very helpful, very powerful. Okay, so let's go and talk to Carrie in Colorado Springs. Carrie, how are you doing? Are you there? Carrie.
Hello.
There you are.
Hello.
How are you?
Hi. Oh, I'm doing pretty good today. How are you?
I'm good. Now, we've only got a couple minutes here, but it looks like you got a question about dating from Colorado Springs. I always refer to Colorado Springs. It's like the Protestant Vatican. It's like all the Christian ministries sort of landed there. Anyway, so tell me how I can help you. What is your question?
You know, I've just gotten back into dating, and thank you to your encouragement. And I was just wondering, when do you bring up the deal breakers?
When you bring up the deal breakers, well, in some ways they kind of show up on the first date, right? I mean, if somebody could find out real quick, if, you know, there are certain things, you know, see ya, cab, Uber, I'm gone, right? But I think you're talking about once you've gone down a path with somebody, and what do you mean by the deal breakers, and how far into this are you, et cetera, et
Well,
cetera?
just started, but the person has started talking about their, past abuse, or, you know what I'm saying? Just being pretty transparent about their different stuff.
Okay. So far, not necessarily a deal. Are you saying it's a deal breaker for somebody to have had problems in the past?
Oh, that's a good point. I'm a little bit concerned about, yeah, that is a good point. Everybody has problems. I would hope that they're working on them.
Hang on.
Okay.
You know what the key word there is? Past.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, let's take any problem. I mean, we don't have to pick one. But let's say somebody's had a lot of abuse in their life. They've had a lot of trauma. They've had a lot of loss, this and the other. Well,
sure.
The question is, who am I dating today?
Mm.
So let's say his name is Bartholomew. Okay. So sexy name, right? Bartholomew.
Right.
All right. So you're going out with Bartholomew. Bartholomew starts talking about all this abuse and this and the other. Are you talking to a Bartholomew who has an incredible story of redemption and healing and mastery and resilience, and now he's on the other side of that and he's helping lots of other people, and he's just a tower of strength? And as 2 Corinthians 1 says, he comforts others with the comfort that he's received, and he's it's like leaders who come from horrible, terrible, like inner city or horrible poverty or something, and they go through all of this, and then they do really well in life. And what do? They go back into those settings and say, look, guys, you can do it, you can make it, I'll help you, and here's a path, and I understand you, and all that. Is that the Bartholomew we're talking about? Or are we talking about a Bartholomew that the issues are not healed enough yet to where they're affecting his, and here's the key phrase, his ability to have a good relationship with you?
True.
It's not whether or not somebody's got a history. It's, is their history or is it current in a way that affects the relationship or affects functioning in life? So you kind of have to look at, how's the performance level, right? If we're going to get in a significant relationship with somebody, think of the pie of life. I wish I had more time, to talk about this. We're up against the hour and I got to stop, but I'm going to leave you with this. And thank you very much for your call and for this question. You. It's a really important one, but I'm going to close with this, that, we're entering into a significant relationship. I talk about this pie of life all the time, and that is clinically, how's somebody doing? How's their mood and their thinking? And, are they not addicted? And, not like drowning in stress and all of that. Somebody's not bad if they are, but if they are, they might not be ready to have a certain kind of relationship or not. I'm not saying you can't have a relationship with a depressed person. That's not what I'm saying. But you're in the dating world, this and the other. I don't know if he's so wounded, he's just not ready, right? So clinically, is somebody really ready to be in a relationship? Are they healthy enough to where they're above the waterline and not kind of drowning? You guys swim together. Relationally, are the issues worked through enough to where they're not like afraid of closeness, or they're not controlling, or they're not detaching and unable to to be vulnerable and enjoy a connection, and have anger attacks and codependency and all that kind of stuff? I mean, who of us doesn't have a bunch of that stuff somewhere? But hopefully we've gotten over it enough to where the whole thing is about competency. Can we make a relationship work or not? And then, are they performing in life? Can they bring something to the party, show up, contribute, pay their way in a lot of different ways. Can you depend on them? If you say balance the checkbook, can they do it? Or, is their performance life above the waterline enough to where it's not going to interfere in a relationship? I'm not saying they got to be, CEO of the planet, but is this a ministry or is this a relationship you're forming? So, good things to think about. For those of you who are already in relationships, good things to think about. In my relationship with my wife, I got to ask, gosh, am I taking care of myself clinically? Where I want to be, are my moods kind of affecting the household? My relational patterns, am I showing up well there? And when I screw up, am I owning it and working on that? And performance, am I, in our house, we divide up the chores. And everybody's got jobs around here. We told the kids when they were really little, nobody lives here for free. So what do you want to do? And are we performing? Do we deliver in our relationships? And I don't get it right all the time, but it's good to have a covenant in the house where when you're not getting it right, people call you out. That's what we try to do around here. Nobody gets away with much, but that's fun too. If you can establish in your closest circle nobody gets away with much around here, and we're for you, and we're going to have fun calling you out, and we're going to work on it together. Oh my gosh, what a fun life that can be. Not only in families, but in your circles of friends. Let's do that for each other. Okay, guys, we're at the end of our time again. This is the Dr. Cloud Show. A couple things as we close. I want you to share this link wherever you're watching it. Share it with your friends. Maybe they are going through something it could speak to, or you just want to introduce them to the program. We do not have any advertising, right? We don't have ads in the newspaper or commercials on TV or billboards or pop-up ads or anything like that to show you that this program is here. But we do need for people to gather and we're going to watch it. And if we build an audience, significant, numbers of us are enjoying being here, we will continue to be here. But I need your help to do that. I need you to tell your friends and get them aware at least and see if they like it. And you know what? You guys are awesome on the chats and you're doing, and in Facebook and the other platforms, Instagram, and you can find us on all those and YouTube. And yeah, I love it that you help each other. I just love that so much. And I just want to give you a shout out for that. Shout out to my team, Jessica and Albie and Greg, who make all of this work and work really hard to make it work. Thank you guys. And then a reminder, if you want to go deeper and you want to know more and you want to join me in a growth path in these areas, then go to boundaries.me, boundaries.me, and check it out. Okay. Happy weekend. Happy holiday weekend. I do plan on being here on Monday. It is Memorial Day. Right now, the plan is going to be at our regular time at 1 o'clock Pacific. If that changes, and I don't expect it to change, but it could change. If that changes, then we'll post the time and let you know. Okay. God bless you guys and have a very good holiday as we remember some really good people.